Everyone, and my name is Grace Peng from the Interagency Modeling and Analysis Group, and welcome to the pre-meeting webinar series for the conference on integrating machine learning with multiscale modeling. I'm so pleased to have my colleagues from the National Cancer Institute here to present their programs in multiscale modeling and machine learning. Drs. David Miller and Emily Greenspan will be presenting. I'll pass it over to you, David. Thanks.
Thank you, Grace. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Miller. I'm a program director at the National Cancer Institute, one of the 27 institutes and centers that make up the NIH. Today, my colleague Emily Greenspan and I will be presenting a webinar summarizing a number of NCI programs, funding opportunities, and active research projects that support or encompass cancer research at the nexus of multiscale mathematical modeling and machine learning. Next slide. As you've likely heard in other talks earlier this week, the combination of multiscale modeling and machine learning is a logical progression for the two methodologies, whether it's for using machine learning to develop and improve mechanistic models, or perhaps to bridge gaps between models that operate at distinct scales, or any number of other approaches. And additionally, cancer is an inherently multi-scale disease with both research and abundant data that scale from molecules, cells, and tissues to individuals, communities, and populations. And of course, the NCI supports cancer research across all of these scales. Next slide. Now, since this is mostly going to be a talk on funding, the four major NCI extramural funding divisions seen here will feature prominently in this overview. However, it's also important to note that many of the centers within the NCI's Office of the Director also support modeling and machine learning through their support of important NCI data resources that are amenable to modeling and machine learning approaches, such as the Cancer Genome Atlas, as well as support for training in the methods and reduction barriers to using these methodologies. I should also add, next slide, that before diving into a number of NCI programs that more directly support mathematical modeling and machine learning, it's important to note that the primary path to funding for most NCI investigators is via the NCI Parent R01 funding announcements that support investigator-initiated research. Once submitted for review, R01 research proposals that involve mathematical modeling and machine learning can be assigned to any of the many NIH standing study sections, depending upon details of the proposal. However, several of the most common appear here. These span health informatics, computational biology, mathematical modeling, and statistical analysis methods development. So moving on to more targeted programs, next slide. The Cancer Systems Biology Consortium initiative is intended to address challenging cancer questions, many of which are inherently multivariate and of high complexity through a systems biology approach. Importantly, for the purposes of the CSBC, and Grace, you can tap through, it's about 5 clicks, I think. The cancer systems biology encompasses the explicit integration of experimental biology and predictive computational methods. Systems biology is by necessity an iterative process where models are informed by experiment and their predictions are then used to inform hypotheses that are then tested. The results of those experiments are then used to increase the precision and accuracy of the predictive models. In addition to building and testing predictive computational models and algorithms, the Cancer Systems Biology Consortium aims to provide data, model, and analytical tools to the scientific community and establish training and outreach programs to nurture interdisciplinary scientists and educate the broader community about the wide impact of systems biology approaches. Next slide. As an interdisciplinary field, you might expect to see a variety of computational approaches used in combination together, and that's certainly the case for CSBC. There are, in fact, currently 30 active CSBC awards in total, with a visual summary of the 13 major CSBC research centers seen here. And some examples of blending mathematical modeling and machine learning within CSBC include Kristen Swanson at the Mayo Clinic, who has a U01 in which her lab is working to combine radiomics, machine learning, and mechanistic modeling to predict recurrence in the brain around tumor area in glioblastoma patients. Trey Eideker at UC San Diego is working on building so-called data-driven ontologies that will aid in the interpretability of many of the more modern black box deep learning methods. Stacy Finley and Paul Macklin have a U01 in which they are using machine learning approaches to scale up their agent-based modeling efforts. And Doug Laufenberger's lab at MIT has been using deep learning approaches to make predictions about human disease based upon data measured in cell lines as well as mouse models. Next slide. And this again has 4 or 5 clicks, I believe. Next up is the NCI's Physical Sciences in Oncology Network. The aim of the PSON is to integrate physical sciences and cancer research perspectives and approaches to address complex and challenging questions in cancer research. And this encompasses the physical dynamics of cancer, as well as spatiotemporal organization in cancer, which is another way of saying, and you can click 3 more times. It's another way of saying that PSON is interested in addressing cancer research questions that span scales across time, as well as across length scales, and so therefore supports the development of multi-scale computational models and novel technologies, as would be expected within ML and IMAG. So next slide. The current PSON U01 funding opportunity invites a broad range of research that addresses important cancer questions from a physical sciences perspective. Applicants may focus on one of these suggested thematic themes. Other physical sciences-based thematic areas, such as the role of evolutionary theory in cancer, or deconvoluting the complexity of cancer, or integrating multiple thematic areas into a single, discrete, specified, circumscribed, collaborative U01 research project. So interested applicants for PSON can find more information at physics.cancer.gov, or you can directly contact the program lead, Nas Zahir, listed in the upper right of this slide. Next slide. For those watching live, the CSBC and PSON programs together are sponsoring an image analysis workshop and hackathon in which modeling and machine learning are expected to be among the methods used for addressing the topic areas listed here. The event is taking place next year, and the current application is this Friday, tomorrow. However, feel free to contact Darren Tyson or Brian White if you're interested in participating. Next slide. So now moving over to the Division of Cancer Control and Population Sciences, the Cancer Intervention and Surveillance Network, a modeling network, or CISNet, invites inquiries from outside groups regarding collaborations on cancer control issues amenable to modeling. The program focuses on breast, prostate, colorectal, lung, esophagus, and cervical cancers, and supports simulation and mathematical modeling research to help guide public health research and priorities. The program has a unique structure with multiple independent modeling groups, plus a coordinating center per each cancer site. So the program contact for this is Rocky Foyer, and a new funding announcement was released earlier on this year. Next up, in the NCI's Division of Cancer Treatment and Diagnosis, the Quantitative Imaging Network, or QIN, promotes research, development, and clinical validation of quantitative imaging tools and methods for the measurement of prediction of tumor response to therapies in clinical trial settings, with an overall goal of facilitating clinical decision-making. There are currently 2 active funding opportunities seen here. One uses a R01 mechanism, and another uses a phased mechanism. And the contacts for QIN are Robert Nordstrom and Daryl Tata. And then, not just in DCTD, but addressing the Division of Cancer Prevention and a number of other elements of the NCI, is the Academic Industrial Partnerships Program, which stimulates efforts to translate scientific discoveries and engineering developments into methods or tools that address problems in both basic and applied research. So these 2 funding opportunities here uniquely specify a partnership structure of interdisciplinary multi-institutional research teams. This is designed to help bridge gaps in knowledge and experience by engaging the strengths of academic, industrial, as well as other investigators. Again, there are 2 funding opportunities. One addresses translation of treatment and diagnostic technologies, and the other addresses translation and validation of in vivo imaging systems. Each of these has several NCI contacts, so potential applicants should look to the individual announcements for contact information. So next up, the NCI's Cancer Moonshot initiative continues to have a number of associated funding opportunities and contract topics that are currently active, a number of which can support mathematical modeling and machine learning. This includes software for patient navigation through the cancer care continuum, cloud-based software for the Cancer Research Data Commons, and tools and technologies for visualizing multiscale data. These and others are listed on the NCI's Cancer Moonshot website, which can be found on cancer.gov, or you can just Google NCI Cancer Moonshot, and it's the top link. So then finally from me is one of the crown jewels of NCI's support for software development, called the Informatics Technology for Cancer Research Program. ITCR supports investigator-initiated informatics technology and software development that are driven by critical needs in cancer research, encompassing all of the NCI divisions that I've mentioned so far. The program is managed by Julie Clem out of CBIT and promotes the development and broad dissemination of user-friendly, open source, and often interoperable software tools and resources. Next slide. Unique to this program is that ITCR, and I think there's 2 or 3 clicks for this one, ITCR supports cancer informatics software development across the full software development lifecycle. So this is from initial algorithm development through early stage tool development and on into advanced tool development, dissemination, and sustainment. ITCR has a vibrant consortium of investigators with opportunities for competitive revisions, educational resource development, and collaborative pilot projects. Next slide. All of the ITCR-funded software tools are indexed and made available to researchers through the ITCR website, as seen here on the left. And on the right, you can see a breakout of the domain areas currently represented within the program. And these areas, of course, have plenty of overlap, and a number of tools and approaches increasingly defy placement into any single bin.